Welcome, everybody. This is Caesar with the Battle Rhythm Podcast. I am here, yes, on another Tuesday night, not Thursday, but for many of us is maybe a Thursday. I don't know if you have a weird schedule for work, then that's the way it works. But for me, it's actually today for me is a Wednesday since I work a 4-10 schedule. So that's awesome. I only work 4 days, but still 10 hours. It's kind of a lot. But it's all good. This is what we're here for. We live for every Tuesday night when we come in and show you and share some stories with you, share some things, some insights and things like that. So we start with that. And tonight, as I mentioned last week, and I don't know why I have a freaking straw in my office here, but whatever. Anyway, as we started, I stated last week, we have a very, 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 very special guest that was once here. She was here once before, and we were talking about the I was about to say the cold case, but it's not cold. It's actually lukewarm right now. Probably about to get bright hot, and we are we're just gonna dive right into it. But first, today is June 17th, so we are gonna do my famous National Day calendar. I don't know why it's famous because I don't know. Like I haven't gotten any feedback from you guys as far as like whether or not you liked it. So it is what it is. But today, just so you know, today is National Mascot Day. So if you have a favorite mascot like the San Diego Chicken, that today's the National Mascot Day. Also, the National Cherry Tart Day. I don't know who likes the tart. I mean, cherry's good, but tart. Nope. Sorry, not gonna do it. All right. So National Apple Strudel Day. I can get behind that one. That was good. National Apple Strudel Day. And then also National Eat Your Vegetables Day. So if you're I don't want to say a vegan, because vegans, I think, very strictly don't really eat some things on the vegetable side. But anyway, National Eat Your Vegetable Day is today. And also National, actually, I'm going to save that one. I'm going to save that one because I'm going to ask our guest that question. So, all right, for birthdays and events, let's go through that. All right, so today, notable birthdays for June 17th, E.G. Esquire, archaeologist who made significant discoveries about the Incas, 1821 to 1888. Susan LaFleche Picardi, 1865-1915, one of the first indigenous people, and the first indigenous woman to earn a medical degree. George Cormack, if you guys are very familiar with Wheaties, the Breakfast of Champions. George McCormick, 1870 to 1953. He was the inventor of the cereal Wheaties. Also, Sam Whitting, 1895 to 1985, 100 years or 90 years old. One of the first American jazz pianists to tour Europe, was born on this day. Ruth Graves Wakefield, she was considered the creator of the chocolate chip cookie. She lived from 1903 to 1977. David Stringbean Aikman, 1950-1973. Many of my Gen X friends will probably remember this one. Actually, a little bit of Gen X, a little bit of most of the boomers actually probably remember this. It's banjoist and comedian on Hee Haw. I remember that show. I just remember from the shorts, the YouTube shorts and stuff. All right, Barry Manilow. I know you guys know this because she's a Lola Copacabana. Yep. The singer of hits like Looks Like We Made It, Mandy, and Copacabana. Barry Manilow, 1943, and it's still living. George Raleigh, who is the musician and co-founder of the rock band Santana and Journey. See, I knew about Santana. I didn't know about Journey about him. So, yep, he was born in 1947 on this day. In 1964, the actress known for her role as Tabitha in Bewitched, Diane Murphy, was born. All right, some of the memorable events of June 17th. 1824, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, BII, is established. 1863, the Travelers Insurance Company of Hartford becomes the first chartered accident insurer. 1885, I did not know this one. The Statue of Liberty arrives in New York Harbor. So you guys all remember that all that stuff came in pieces. So I don't know how many ships it probably took to bring all of it, but it was all in pieces. So, all right, 1898. This one goes out to my very, very good friend Doc Ballard Medal of Honor recipient. The U.S. Navy Hospital Corps is established. 1901, the College Board introduces the first standardized test, laying the foundation for the everybody's favorite SAT. I could definitely attest to you that I never took the SATs. I took the pre-SATs. I did horrible because English is my second language, and I did crappy. So I think I got a 1 in math and a 3 in English. So, well, maybe it was the other way around. I don't remember. Anyway, but I didn't fare so well. And look at me now. I just talk for a living, literally. All right, in 1928, Amelia Earhart leaves Newfoundland as a passenger, becomes the first woman to fly over the Atlantic. In 1932, World War I vets gather at the U.S. to hear the Senate consider a bill that would give them benefits. How fitting. How fitting that today, June 17th, we have one of our guests. We're going to talk about the VA benefit process and or awards and or removals. Huh. How weird. Wonder who planned that. All right, 1950, the first kidney transplant is conducted at a Chicago hospital. In 1971, President Nixon called drug abuse America's public enemy number one. America has had plenty of public enemy number one. I can think it was Dillinger was one. Al Capone was another one. So, we've had plenty. All right. In 1987, the dusky seaside sparrow, not Jack Sparrow, but dusky seaside sparrow, becomes extinct after the last living bird dies. All right, 1991. The body of President Taylor, 12th president of the United States, is exhumed to test how he died after rumors of being poisoned by arsenic. So there you go. That is today's date, famous birthdays, notable birthdays, and whatever else happened on this day. And with that, we're going to go ahead and be like, what? We are going to start our brand new, well, not brand new, but our definitely our, what do you call it? Interview of the week. And our interview of the week is brought to you by, nope, that's not about that one. It's actually brought to you by Texoma Harley Davidson. Ooh, we're good friends over there at Texoma. They're going to be hooking you up with a brand new Harley Davidson. So, just go and see him, see Kenny and any others of his staff and tell them that you heard this on the Battle Rhythm podcast. So, go in. So, as I mentioned before, Erin Harrell is back with us after 2-month hiatus. Erin, how are you, ma'am?
I'm much better now. Caesar, how are you?
Well, I figured that today, since it's June 17th, is the day that in 1932, World War I veterans started going through Congress and Senate, and to make sure that they are actually getting their VA benefits. So, how fitting that we actually bring you back on this day.
It's very fitting. And then to answer the question that you've been dying to know the last few minutes, it was 214 crates that the Statue of Liberty was shipped over in.
Look at that. Well, see, this is why I will never bring it. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's just kidding. This is why it's good to have a very engaged guest, because she heard the question. I mean, I honestly wanted to see how many ships and how many crates. But you're right. There was a lot. One. Wait. So you're telling me that entire thing is not that heavy?
It says I had time to Google with all that information you were sharing with us here at the start.
Yeah.
So one ship. Well, it says one shipment, 214 crates, 350 individual pieces.
Wow.
So it's
incredible for such a tall piece.
Right. I've never seen it in person. So.
Oh, really? Is it on your bucket list?
I don't know if New York's really on my bucket list right now, but it would be cool to see.
All right. So what's on your bucket list? Well, maybe we can save those for rapid fire questions. But
yeah, we'll do that.
You know what? Just a teaser. What's one thing on your bucket list?
Mm.
Shower without shoes.
Scotland. Going to Scotland.
Scotland.
Yeah.
You just want to go see because that you probably had a crush on Sir what's his name? Sean Connery.
Okay, that's aging me a little bit. For all of the people that are a little more my age, it's Outlander. Okay.
Oh yeah, Outlander. I forgot about that one. That actually Highlander was actually a really actually kind of like the same thing, but Highlander I kind of liked it a little bit more.
Probably, yeah.
Because it was like he never died. He was like thousands of years old, and he never died, which is crazy. But anyway, so to get back to the point, I don't know if I ever have a point, but we'll just talk about this. So you have been in kind of a saga in the last 2 months. Let's recap as to what happened the last time you were on. We were talking about your husband Jeremy being given himself up because I believe it was like a couple weeks after he actually turned himself in into federal authorities, correct?
Yes, he had surrendered to federal prison back in January. And I would say that this has been probably a saga since October of 23. It's been a long time. Anybody that has experienced any kind of legal issue knows that the wheels of justice are very slow.
Yeah, but they're quick to take your money with taxes and things, but never good at returning it. Anyway, that's another show. We're not getting to that one today. I don't feel like arguing today. Well, maybe a little. I just argue with myself. It's fine. I do it all the time.
No
but no argument here. All right. So the last 2 months, I mean, really, I feel like your world has been turned upside down first, obviously, but in the last couple of weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks, your world really turned upside down.
It's been you couldn't make this stuff up. You really couldn't.
Right.
It's been very exciting and it's been wild. Yeah.
So I understand that there was a celebrity that, or I should say, a social influencer, celebrity influencer that had been that kind of caught wind of your saga, and they too ended up joining your fight.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. We don't know who that mystery celebrity is.
Would you like me to say it now?
Well, yeah, of course
okay.
I do. That was a good
question. If we
that
were
was a perfect segue. Yes,
yeah,
I did.
So I had put a post on X. I was pretty frustrated. As I said, my husband had surrendered to federal prison back in January, and he was eligible for release on May 25th. By June 1st, he still had not been released. Was pretty frustrated. When you call the powers that be, there's a lot of like, well, it's paperwork. It's just a lot of excuses.
Right.
In the meantime, on May 28th, Director Marshall, the director of the Bureau of Prisons, had put out an order stating that, essentially, if it's time for them to go home, it's time for them to go home. We're going to stop this hanging on to them because there's really a financial gain for prisons and halfway houses to prolong an inmate's stay there. So I was frustrated. I posted on X about it and shared Director Marshall's order that he had put out. And Savannah Chrisley, she reshared it. And she ended up coming in and advocating for Jeremy with the director, helping get Jeremy's story out there to those that could facilitate movement in that. And he was released. So I was really grateful for her advocacy. She's been very vocal about her parents and they recently were pardoned. And
Right.
she has made a promise publicly that she would continue to fight for those that are justice impacted, to fight for policy changes within the Bureau of Prisons, and she's keeping that promise. And so I have a lot of respect for her. She is a wonderful, wonderful woman and such a strong and brave woman. I have so much admiration for how much she has done to fight for her parents, raising her siblings at such a young age.
Right. She was the oldest, right?
Yeah, so I think she was about 25 when she had to take
Yeah.
on really being a single mom to I think under 10 and then a teenager. And as stressed out as I've been over this last year and a half, and then over these last months of my husband being incarcerated, and I'm in my 40s.
I think we're 29. I mean,
Thanks. I just can't imagine, how stressful it's been on her.
right.
I mean, I think I can kind of imagine, but to be so young and just to be so brave, and she just never gave up. And that's what she told me, in this process. She said, "Don't give up. Don't stop fighting."
Yeah. Well, I mean, without further ado, let's introduce Savannah Chrisley. I know she's there with you. So
Right.
yeah, no, I'm serious. Like I can see movement right next to you. And just we played it off. We're gonna be playing. She joined us. Erin was actually kind enough to bring her on, and so Savannah, welcome to the show. Let's introduce her. Well, let's not introduce her. I mean, I guess she's camera shy today.
Spending time with her parents.
Yeah, probably. But no, actually, we do have a surprise. I saw a couple weeks ago. There he is. There it is. There he is. A couple weeks ago, I saw the TikToks of Jeremy actually being released, and it's finally good to see you home, and that you're able to actually come and join us today. And actually, we kind of planned it like 3 weeks ago. I already knew it, and we wanted to build it up and join you guys, and because they actually have some stuff going on that are still in the process of. We wanted to make sure that it was okay for Jeremy to come on and be our guest. So without further ado, Jeremy, welcome home, sir. And I'm glad you're out.
Hey, thanks, Caesar, for having us. It's good to be home. Man, what a contrast of scenarios. I'm trying to get back in the swing of things. I appreciate you bringing us on, giving us the opportunity to tell this story. It's a very important story, and it seems like it's just our story, but really this could happen to others, and that's what we don't want to happen. So thank you, number one, for talking to my wife while I was incarcerated, giving her an opportunity to get this message out with all your listeners and your audience, and then showing love and support to her. I appreciate that, and then looking forward to today to get to talk to you and do this show with you. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, well, we talked about it, when she came on the show first time, and I could definitely feel just how frustrated she was. One, and two was just how infuriating it was for me to even hear about the whole situation, because you may be one of many, but you were the one that they made feel like they made an example of, right?
100%. Yes, sir.
So like today, I was having a conversation with one of my coworkers, and I told them, I said, hey, and I asked him, I was like, have you ever heard of a CMP exam actually going over there and the doctor leaves that door open? He's like, they legally can't do that. And he's like, and I told him that the entire, the whole premise and everything. And for those of you that don't know, there was a CMP exam, and if you don't know what that is, it's compensation and pension for the VA that, once you get out, you go through these, and they determine how much of a disability, whether or not they're service connected and things like that. So they start looking to through your medical record. But this one, you were already 100% for over 10 years, right?
Yeah. So I was 70%, but considered individual unemployable,
right.
Permanent and total. So you get the 100% rate and all the benefits that come with it. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's a rating that should not exist. I mean, if you get to a point where someone can't work, it should just be 100% permanent and total. I think we got to get away from TDIU. I just think it's a gray area and sets people up for this, right? Because if somebody would have said, hey, Jeremy, we're going to give you this rating, but if you leave your house, if you do anything other than sit there with empty pill bottles and a pistol in your hand, we're going to say that you're not disabled anymore. We're going to send you to federal prison. If they would have told me that that was going to be the case, then I would have said kick rocks, and I wouldn't have accepted that rating. And so I think we got to get rid of that altogether. That way we don't have these issues, because, man, this isn't just, it doesn't just impact me. It impacts my family. It's collateral damage, but also it discredits the VA benefit system, and it creates that distrust that I tried so hard to rebuild between the veteran community and the Department of Veteran Affairs.
Right.
And man, we had momentum and we were getting there. But this stuff like this, it just turns veterans away. 100%.
Right. And we need to clarify something. So the VA has two arms, right? You have the medical side and you have the benefit side, right? And the VVA is the benefit side, and you have the VA, which is the medical side. Well, the VA, like anything in the government, the VA does not talk to the VVA, even though they're under the same umbrella. Sure. And therefore there's that whole what do you call it? Miscommunication and misinterpretation of things, and things get lost in the sauce like anything else in the military, right? Even within our own, within the own Department of the Navy. I mean, they say that they're the men's department, but they're still the Marines. They're still under the Department of the Navy. They don't talk to one another, right? The only time they talk to is like, hey, you're my Uber today. That type of thing. That's kind of where it's at, where you have, one main office, and then you have two split that you actually have that. And the left hand doesn't talk to the right hand. And as much as they want to say, oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. No, you don't, because you have things like this that fall into the cracks. And then you have, you're messing with people's lives. And not only that, but you're also messing with, the rest of your benefits, the rest of your, anything you have built up to this point. And, well, I'll say it, in danger of even losing your house, or losing anything you have, because they imposed a heavy fine, even though you didn't do anything incorrect. And from what I gathered.
Well, that danger about losing a house is very real still for us now. I was sentenced back in December. Typically, when you're going through this process at sentencing, it's over. Whatever they hand out at that point, it's over, and there's nothing else to be done. The case is closed, right? But that didn't happen in my case. In fact, here we are. We're in June now, middle of June, and they just sent paperwork today about garnishing wages, about freezing bank accounts, and about putting liens on houses. And so the nightmare continues long after the gavel hits the wood in the courtroom.
Well, I'm just thinking, what after that sentencing? I mean, obviously it's heartbreaking that you had that sentencing, but as it's being read and the charges are being read, and did you have I mean, we all know the amendments, right? And then our rights, that we're supposed to have a fair and speedy trial, and also a trial of your peers. Did you have any peers during this time?
No. So that's what they like to throw around, right? A jury of your peers. Really what that looks like is a jury of registered voters. When I think of a peer, I think of someone with like experience, someone who shares some of the same parallels in life as regards to what you do, where you've been, and what you've experienced. And that was simply not the case. There was nobody on my jury who had served in the military. There was nobody on my jury that had ran a nonprofit. None of that. Matter of fact, a lot of folks on the jury were between 18 and 24 years old. Nothing wrong with that. I encourage young people to get involved and do their civil duties. But let's face it, they're not going to know what it looks like. First of all, there's not going to be any jury that's going to know the VA disability process in 5 days. I mean, we all know, like, with veteran organizations, I mean, the VA don't even know. when the VA raider was on the stand, he admitted, he goes, we don't always get it right. And I don't know how the jury missed that, but we don't always get it right. But here we are. You're the expert. You're supposed to get it right. Like I'm in federal court. My life is changing as we speak. It's your responsibility to get it right. And this is what it looks like when they don't get it right.
And I mean, I can't even imagine the feeling that's coming over. I mean, I got Erin's story the last time that she was here, and obviously it's, you know, as it is, you can't stand your significant other to to be in pain and, or, you know, suffering or going through anything, obviously. But this seems like it hit the both of you, you know, like a bucket of cold water, right? And I'm not gonna say ice today because there's a lot of turmoil right now with the term ice. So we're not gonna go there, but I do have a joke about that. I'm probably gonna say it now since I can forget it. And
I actually said to a friend today that it feels like Houdini and the chains underwater.
Right.
That's what it's felt like.
Yeah.
Trying to get free of the chains while you're submerged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when you're, you know, I have two main jobs. Well, I would say three. Number one, to serve and worship the Lord. Number two, to provide for my family, and then protect my family.
Mhm.
Right. I felt like I couldn't protect or provide because I was incarcerated. I had no access to anything. And I think some people, and it's good. If you don't understand prison, good. You don't want to. But what I'm saying is you have 15 minutes calls that you can make, and they're recorded. So you got to be very careful in what you say. They can be used against you. You can imagine these payphone wall phones, right? How many times they've been slammed up against a wall because of bad calls. So you can't really communicate effectively. And if you send an email out on their email system, it may take 3 or 4 hours before the recipient even gets it. And then I have to wait the same amount of time before it comes back. And so you can imagine all this stuff going on, and the limited ability to communicate and to solve the problems. It was very difficult as a man, as a husband, as a father.
Right.
So it was really difficult. And then just to know that she's out here having to kind of pull the weight. She's having to advocate. She's having to work 40 plus hours a week. She's having to be a mom. You know, that it was just very hard for me to accept that and to take that. And so, you know, I'm glad to be out in the sense that I can now fight with her and we can fight together.
Right.
But I will say, and I have to brag on her, right? Because she has been phenomenal throughout this whole process. She is like one of the strongest warriors that I've ever met. And I've met some warriors in my day, but she is just amazing, man. I'm so thankful to have her beside me.
Well, that's awesome. Obviously, that makes a big difference that you have a great support system, right? Because it made it, you know, even though it was hard for her, it was probably easier for you, well, somewhat easier for you to know that you had someone that had your back, you know.
Not everybody has that. Yeah, that's right.
Right. Because I mean, being on the inside, all you have is time. It's like being deployed, man. I mean, like you remember being deployed. When you're deployed, you got, you know, you only do like 4 things, right? You go to work, you go to sleep, you go to shower, you go eat, and then during between all those 4 things that you're supposed to and work out.
Yeah, it's like Groundhog Day, 100%. Right? Yeah.
But between all that time between, all you have is time to think. And sometimes those thoughts in between those events are harmful, hurtful, or or just plain dumb, you know, like you're like, oh, you know, you come up with great ideas or you come up with dumb ideas. Let's go with it, you know, that type of thing. But so having all that time for you to be thinking about, you know, recounting or, you know, replaying every word that was said during your trial, during the, you know, during your before, you know, going through all this stuff. Yeah. I'm sure that was made you angry at some point, didn't it?
Oh, 100%, man. I went through every different emotion known to man and still do, right? But of course I was angry. I woke up every day going, how in the world do I create effective programs in a nationally recognized organization that is highly effective at reducing veteran suicide, reconnecting families, transition from military to civilian life. And how can that end up? How can I end up in prison for that? Right? Like, it just didn't make any sense. And it took me a little bit to kind of quit going down that rabbit hole, because I realized that, well, it's not going to be productive, because what is done is done. Now I got to start thinking about how we get out of this and how we overcome and figure it out. And the resilience factor kicked in. But yeah, I mean, here's the deal. If I was guilty of this, you wouldn't hear me complain. If I was guilty of this, this would be an ideal situation. I got a lower than normal sentence to prison. You know, I mean, yeah, you have the money, but if I stole the money, I owe the money, but I didn't steal the money. In fact, you know what it's like now? They're stealing from me, and not just me though. They're stealing from my wife. And so you got to think, who's the real thief? Right. It definitely isn't me. I didn't take a single penny to do what I did. I did this because of two reasons. I told the judge this. The main reason is because, you know, I love Jesus with all my heart, my mind, and soul. That's the greatest commandment. The second is to love my neighbor as myself. And that's exactly what I was doing, you know, anytime I could. And I won't ever be sorry for that. And I don't regret doing any of this despite the cost. I mean, we're suffering. Like I'm suffering. I had a hard day today. Let's be honest. I have hard days most days, but you know what? There's somebody out there that's alive, that's going home to their families at the end of the day because of something that we created. And I know God would have wanted me to do that. So I have no qualms about it.
So with that said, I mean, do you find yourself triggered more? I know, because I know you suffer PTSD, like most of us do, right? Most of us combat do. Do you find it now, like when you went through, did you have a lot of episodes while you were in during that time?
Oh yeah, man.
More than normal? I mean, like,
yes.
Was it like, okay. Because I mean, did you have access to like mental health counselors there while you were there?
Yeah. So on paper, it looks like you have access to these people. I saw a psychologist. They do have a psychologist or two there somewhere, but I saw one for 5 minutes one time. And they called me in and asked me how I was doing. I think maybe it was 2 or 3 weeks in. I can't remember exactly. And I was honest because I've been through therapy. I encourage therapy. I think everybody on some level needs a therapist, regardless of what you've been through. Right. But so I was honest. I said, this is very triggering for me. I have a lot of anxiety. I feel like I'm back in the survival mode that I had to be in when I was deployed. I feel like I have to always watch my six. I'm hypervigilant. I went through the whole gambit of things that we suffer with, and the response was, okay, well, if you find yourself, you know, in an emergency, you know, go on. We got this like this in-house kind of email system. Go on and send an email to psych, and we're about 3 months out from appointments.
Sounds literally. Like a VA. Well, you don't have any community care. I mean, come on, this is you can't make this stuff up.
I couldn't believe it. I said, I mean, I literally just spilled my guts to you, right? Like I literally just told you that I'm a combat veteran, and when I was in Iraq, I spent time at internment facilities and prisons, right? Enemy prisoner of war camp. So it was extra triggering for me, and so, but it didn't matter. It was just check the box. I talked to inmate 84846-510, which was all I was there. I was not Jeremy. I was not Harrell. I was that number. And that's all they did. They checked the box. They passed go for the day. They get their paycheck on Friday, and that was all it was about.
And were they, okay, so we got that out of the way. So it was no one-on-one. Were there any support groups while they were there? Yeah.
So there was this, they called it a veteran resilient support group. And it was led by a correctional officer who was phenomenal, by the way. He was a good guy. He was a Marine, is a Marine, right? I know there's no former Marines.
I mess with them all the time. Oh, you're ex-Marine, huh? No, I was there. I was like, shut up.
Yeah. So, no, he brought us in. There was I think about 12 vets at Ashland. And it was a good group. I mean, you know, nothing that was going to blow your mind, but it was something. And what I liked about it was it created opportunities for us to be together and for me to identify other veterans on the compound, so that because I knew we had a unique bond, and I knew that we could connect on a different level. And so it really just kind of showed each other who we were. So that was the most beneficial part about it. But he knew my background. I mean, a lot of these correctional officers knew my background, and so he would say something about the group and then look at me kind of for validation. It was pretty interesting, but yeah, they did have that, and I do appreciate the Bureau of Prisons for having that, and that's something that I hope that they continue, because it is definitely needed.
Right, and what I mean, obviously you said there was you and then the correctional inmates. So how many other inmates were also there as veterans?
That was it. Oh, you mean like inmates or
yeah, inmates.
So a total of about 12.
And
206 guys.
So were all these 12, because this is federal prison, were all these guys the same with you? They had issues with the VA as well?
No, there was no issue with the VA. They did other things, right? Some of them were addicts because they were self-medicating, which a lot of veterans do. We know that, right? They self-medicate, and it just turned in and spiraled out of control, and they kind of lost themselves and got in trouble. So yeah, primarily, and then there were some other type of white collar crimes, but not strictly the VA. When they found out why I was there, they were all appalled, and I kind of tried to fly under the radar while I was there, because
how did that work out for you? Because I really doubt it didn't.
It didn't work. It didn't work out to plan. Not the way that I'd like, especially as time progressed.
Right.
But when they found out about my case, because there was another inmate who lived beside me in the unit who and here's how it kind of come about. So the CO who's kind of facilitating the group, he talks about benefits, right? And I'm like, when I hear that word when I hear that word, I'm like, ugh.
Is that one of the triggers? Is it triggered now?
Oh man, it's like being hit in the mouth, right?
Oh,
okay. Well, so he starts talking about that. One of the other inmates there says, "Oh, well, you can work and get benefits." so
you said, "Hold my pruno. Hold on."
So then the guy that lived beside me was a Navy veteran. He goes, "No, you can't. You haven't heard about Jeremy? Like, you know why Jeremy's here? Jeremy's here for volunteering too much. He wasn't even making money." I mean, it was just interesting how upset they were at the injustice that they were experiencing there. And so my only response to that, because I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole, was just don't do it. It just isn't worth it, right? Because you'll come back here. So yeah, I mean, it's really sad, because then veterans have to worry about getting their benefits. I mean, the standard that they held me to, Caesar, was like, if I'm disabled, I need to be like incapacitated. But only me, though, right? We know a lot of disabled people in the world that do all kinds of things, right? But for me, they had this standard of, if he's not half dead, he's not disabled. And I don't think the crime was the crime. I think they used this as a way to try to stop me from doing what I'm really good at, and that's taking care of veterans and exposing the holes in the system, and also trying to fix it. But that's we can go down that rabbit hole a little later. But yeah, so we had that veteran support group within the BOP, and it was good for what it was. Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting messages out here saying you're lost internet connection. Trying to reconnect. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I love the internet sometimes. I'm not restarting my router, dude. Oh, there it is. Okay, it went away. Yay. Sorry, but we're having technical difficulties. Apparently the internet connection is slow. And there's something wonky going on. So we're still live, it looks like. And haven't lost the touch yet. So let's get back to the point here. Sorry about that.
No worries.
I'm just trying to think, like, honestly, like I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, but not your shower shoes. Where I just can't imagine people just don't know what it is, right? So I know when I talked to Erin 2 months ago, and we had this conversation, is that I didn't know that volunteering was going to be detrimental to anybody. So you know what? That just gives a bad, I don't want to say bad taste in your mouth, but it just gives a bad reputation or a misconception of what you can and cannot do. So now, if you're 100% based on TDUI or TDIU, and you're volunteering, that just seems that like, oh no, you can't volunteer. Oh no, you can't work.
It's hard
No,
to
you
even say it. Yeah, it's hard to even say that, right?
well, because it makes no sense. I'm like, you would think that they want people to volunteer, and I'll tell you why. Because it's you not that you're getting paid in like a lot, right? But you are getting a disability check,
Yeah,
but
right.
for us, like I don't know, I know that for me volunteering and doing things and staying involved, it doesn't allow me to have many racing thoughts or it just makes me function better, right? I
Yeah.
mean, because that's the one thing that most veterans and common veterans find that's like we miss that camaraderie that comes with being in the military. Like once you're out, and it's like, okay, well, what do I do now? Like I don't know anything. Like everything is was structured now. Everything is like on my own time, and I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do at 2 o'clock? I had, this was supposed to be at this, and I just didn't know that not that volunteering was just gonna help and or not help. But a lot of us need to be around many other people, and you would think that the VA would be okay with people volunteering and
Well,
getting involved in things like that.
well, you know what, Caesar? There have been studies done at the Department of Veteran Affairs about the benefits of volunteering for mental health. It is a proven scientific fact that volunteering and having mission purpose absolutely changes the game when you're dealing with anxiety and other mental health issues.
Hmm.
And you just said it, like you just said our mission statement essentially. The whole point was this. It started out. This is very therapeutic for me, right? I was on over 20. I've been at since 2009 over 20 medications for psych. And the reason why there's so many of them is because none of them worked, right? They would give you some like little short-term benefit, but nothing over the long term. And then the medicine would cause a different issue, right? Because you don't have all the side effects. And so the only medicine that ever really worked for me was sitting in front of another veteran, talking about our story, sharing our story, and then, battling in the trenches together, figuring out ways to cope, ways to continue to live and have a good life. And when I started doing that, I was like, man, I found the cure. I think I found the cure, right? This is
Hmm.
amazing. I don't, and there's veterans who will tell you that's part of our organization who went down from 15, 16 medications to 4 or to none, or they had a service dog that they don't necessarily have to have anymore because their anxiety is lowered because of our programs.
Hmm.
So you're right. Number one, it gave me mission purpose. I never wanted to stop serving. I had to stop serving in that capacity, but then I felt like I could continue to give to my country and still serve the people who serve us.
Right.
And that's all it was. It wasn't an occupation for me. Not one time did I ever get up and go, you know what, this is like a job. Listen, I tell everybody this. I've said it publicly. I know it sounds crazy. Some people like to go to the beach. Some like to go to the lake. I don't not like going to those places, but above all that, I like to help people. That is what I like to do, and you would think that would be celebrated. And in fact, there are a lot of organizations out there that did celebrate it. That's why I was nominated and won certain awards because it was celebrated. But the very agency that represents veterans for the federal government was not celebrating it. In fact, they turned it into a criminal indictment, and I
Mhm.
just never understand that.
I can't even understand either. Like I said, I can't wrap my head around in fact the whole thing. You know what I mean? It's just it's so I don't want to say asinine. It just I don't know. It just
A good word.
You know,
well,
it's you know what it is, Caesar. It's a betrayal.
Mm.
that. Thank you. I was thinking about that, but yeah, you just pretty much like stabbed me in the back for taking it from me. No, I'm just kidding. No, you're right because you feel like you gave so much, right? You gave so much, and you go in harm's way, and you did. We signed the blank check, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Couple weeks ago, I had the national commander of the VFW, Al Liphart. He was on the show, and actually, he came to the studio, and his biggest thing, and I urge you and encourage you to watch his testimony in front of Congress in March of this year. And his biggest thing was, and he did it like this, right? He had a paper and he kept going. It's like, are you swatting a fly? What's going on, right? He's like, he was doing this. He's like, uphold the contract, or do the contract. We held it up, and then we held our end of the bargain, and you also need to respect the contract, and keep true to the word that we said, and keep the contract. So honor the contract. That's what he said. And it seems like we did our part, and yet here we are being persecuted, or and they're making a big example out of you, it feels like. And the last time I talked to Erin, and I'm going back to referring to it. So you guys, I urge you, go back to a couple months ago. Erin was there. She was here by herself at that point, and we had a conversation about this. And the biggest thing that I remember, that I asked was we're talking about honoring the contract and giving back and everything. Is it that the level of betrayal, the level of commitment from us exceeds the level of commitment that they have or seem to have toward us? It seems like they are trying to make examples out of certain people, or examples out of things like, oh, you know what, we said presidents of this, we can go after these people, and because they're doing this thing, and it just seems wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they sell their souls for a social media campaign or for a headline.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially what I was. In fact, the OIG investigator won an award the day after I was sentenced. The day after my sentencing day, he got called in to the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Kentucky and got an award from the very prosecutor that prosecuted me for law enforcement excellence. I mean, that's what it was. Like, I was a feather in the cap, right? I was the big fish. They treated me like I was a John Gotti of the veteran community. It was ridiculous. But just like you said, the hardest thing that I ever had to read in my life to date was the United States of America versus Jeremy Harrell. Man, I read that. I looked at that piece of paper for a long time, and I just go, how can I be considered an enemy of the very country that I was willing to lay my life down for in a heartbeat? Right? And you know what? As crazy as it seems, if I got the call today, we all know what's going on in the world. I pray that it doesn't do anything like that. But if I was to get the call today, I'd be there, man. Of course, I'm a lot more out of shape, right? I'm a little rusty. I'm broken, but I would be there. And all that we expect is the same level of respect and commitment back. For example, I mean, you've been to MEPS. You know how it is when you do the physical. You have to be in tip-top shape to get accepted in the military. And so they tell you, if something happens while you serve that makes you less healthy than you were when you left, we are committed to ensuring that we take care of you. Well, I did my part of the bargain, right? I upheld my part of the bargain. I did what they asked me to. I did it well. I served honorably, honorable discharge, medals, things like that. But they have failed to do that for me, right? And instead of looking at what we do and looking at my case individually and saying, you know what, this guy suffers from severe chronic PTSD and some other physical things, but yet he is trying when he can, and that's key. He is trying when he can to do for others. My goal was to collaborate with VA. In fact, I was a collaborator. They asked me, the VA hospital here in Louisville, Kentucky, asked me to be a consultant to the executive leadership team of the hospital. They wanted me to help bridge the gap between the VA and the veteran community to rebuild, funny enough, the trust that they had lost over time. Not only that, they had asked me if they could come to our headquarters and have VA town hall meetings. And I said, we can, but I mean, obviously the hospital is much bigger than our headquarters. But you know what the thing was, is they knew that more people would come to our headquarters than they would go to that hospital. And I said, sure. And they said, well, can we also give flu shots out of your headquarters? I said, sure. That is spirited cooperation. And the whole time they're investigating me. The whole time they're coming after me. Right. I just can't. I don't know a bigger form of betrayal, at least in my life or anybody's life that I've heard of thus far. So anyway, I'm a little bit bitter about that. I pray to God that we can forgive. But right now, it's just one of those things that hangs over my head.
Needless to say that those invitations have been rescinded.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I doubt we're going to happen that anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, check this out. The day that my indictment went public, it was all over the news. It always is. That makes everything 10 times more difficult, right, as being public. But the day that it went public, they were literally having a mental health program graduation for their participants in our headquarters, and the director of the hospital was there, as well as the mental health chief of psychology and mental health was there. And I just couldn't believe it. I'm going, they're literally there at my headquarters, and my indictment's all over the TV. So just to kind of give you a little.
That's got to be a slap in the face, to say the least. Yeah, Erin, I know you've been sitting there for the last 20 minutes because Jeremy has a long-winded here. Obviously, he hasn't talked to anybody in a long time, so he's talking to the audience here. But
it's good to hear his voice, not through a terrible payphone that's cutting out, and you're like, "What'd you say? Have you been talking? I can't hear you." So yeah, I mean, just as he was saying, one of those the few minutes that you have to do a phone call, I'd say about 40% of the time is spent not being able to hear what the other person is saying.
Right, and even sending an email, it's gonna go through the wickets, right? Because they're probably gonna read it like 20 times, different things, or is there any code words, like,
We had to use abbreviations and things.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Like because we don't have enough acronyms, Jesus. We'll just add some more. But let me ask you this, Erin. You mentioned during the first interview that I did with you a couple months ago is that your biggest fear was being able to trust our system, right? The VA system, or even at this point, our own government, that you feel so. I mean, Jeremy said it best, betrayed about this whole thing because here you are, putting in the work, serving, helping other veterans, getting involved in the community, which you had, starting the Veterans Club and things like that. That you were all about helping people, and yet here you are, I want to say, felt alone, even though you weren't lonely. You felt alone because it's like, okay, well, what do I do? How do I get through this? And that was what I gathered. Anyway, those were my observations, and I wrote it down in my little yellow piece of paper. But how are you feeling now, 2 months later, and obviously having Jeremy back? How are you feeling now from what you felt in the first interview?
Well, just as he had said earlier, I mean, there's a lot of relief that he's home, that we can fight this together. We've always been a team. I mean, you can pretty much ask anyone that's seen us over the last, 7 years with Veterans Club. It was something we were passionate about, together. If I wasn't working, I was with him, and we were serving together. And so, we've always been shoulder to shoulder, and that separation, not only is that just hard in general. I mean, I know that you talked about deployment. There's a lot of military families that have experienced that separation, maybe even for a year, if not longer in some cases.
Right.
But, I think what's different is that this separation, the government just continued to attack while he was incarcerated. And so I was like multiple times a week getting calls from the attorney. They filed this new motion. They've increased the financial punishment. You have 3 days to pay more than $50,000. You are, going to get a lien on your house. I mean, and so while I've been so blessed to have such an amazing support system, our family, our church family and friends, and I'm so grateful for that. my rock was, incarcerated and was away. And so it's definitely a relief that he's home. I gained strength from him. He's an amazing man, very faithful. One thing that I really admire is that this whole nightmare has not shaken his faith or our faith in Christ. And that's what's really gotten us through. It was just constantly leaning on God and trusting the plan that he would have for this situation, and that it would be worked for good for us in the end was what kept us going. But definitely having him home is, I can finally sleep at night. It's just pretty much went from not sleeping at all and, just really being stressed out and, really honestly, very depressed, worried about him, worried about his mental health, his physical health. He spoke a little bit about the lack of mental health there, but the medical is a joke.
What's that? They have that in prison? I didn't even know.
Yeah. So
there's medical. I thought there were. You were just, you go in there and they give you the golf ball shot and that's it.
So yeah, I'm just much relieved that he's home. And usually someone comes home from being from serving their time, and you get to start rebuilding and moving forward. But again, the government, the Eastern District of Kentucky continues to attack. And so it's like he's home and we still are fighting a case that we shouldn't have to be fighting. I think it's just a continued form of punishment.
Yeah,
wow. You're a glutton for punishment, I guess.
Should have never been fighting. Should have never. But especially after sentencing. Right? I remember being in prison talking to guys. There's 200 of them, right, that I get to talk to, and none of them were continuing to fight their case. It was done once that gavel struck. It was done, but not for me. I just can't imagine what would motivate the government and the ones that are prosecuting me to be so venomous, right, and to just be so ruthless. I mean, I didn't commit the crime, right? But if I did, still, they're acting as if I was some terrorist or something. I just don't understand it. We literally, for free, out of the goodness of our hearts, and to utilize time and be a collaborative of the VA in this country, continue to serve our nation's heroes very effectively. So much. And we were one of the top 5 fastest growing nonprofits in the country. We had the History Channel come out and do a special segment on what we do. And we got a lot of press, a lot of publicity because we were unique. We had, 7 nationally recognized programs, not 1, not 2, but 7. Right. And so how in the world could that make someone so angry that they would want to literally destroy the person's life? I just can't understand it. And I know they're like robots, and I get that, but still, man, I can't understand the motivation behind it other than political, right? It's very political. They want to silence me. They want me to stop, but I ain't never been that guy. And I think they know now because most people don't go to trial. Right. I did that. Most people don't continue to appeal, continue to fight, and I have never stopped, never took my foot off the gas. We have never stopped fighting. I'm not going to. So I think they kind of know now that I probably wasn't the guy, but nonetheless, we're going to keep one foot in front of the other, our eyes on God. We have some incredible people around this country. I'm talking, man, we couldn't be more blessed for the people that we have that are supporting us, from Savannah to the director, to a good friend of ours, Bethany, to our church family, guys in my men's Bible study. Just other veterans across the nation. Man, just incredible amount of support. I really feel bad, especially for those who don't have the kind of support system that I do, because there's a lot of those guys in prison. I think about them every day, to be honest. So it's definitely been a blessing to have people that are fighting with you.
Well, that's always good. If you build yourself a good base of support, those people will come. Now, did you find that some people totally left you guys behind and be like, oh, they claim to be friends and they just kind of silently turn their back and or not returning calls, or just kind of you find out who your real true friends are when things like this happen, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a fact, right? And there were a few people, but I have to admit, I'm not just saying this. Very minimal amount of people who turned their back, but the ones who did were very close to me. Ones who did actually knew the truth, right? And they were turning their backs because of optics. And some of those were board members. Some of those were just people in the community and organizations that we partnered with. But you know what really happened? I changed my thought process on that, right? Because it did create a lot of anger and resentment. But in reality, God showed me who wasn't for me to begin with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at least now, and it's a heck of a way for it to happen, don't get me wrong, but at least now Erin and I know who is for us and who isn't for us.
Mm-hmm.
But man, it's an unfortunate way to figure that out. But you're right. There were people that who all of a sudden, and here's the deal, even the witnesses that quote unquote were the government's witnesses, every one of them, I think there were like 13, 14, maybe even more. I can't remember exactly. But every one of them that walked up to the stand, I'd done 100 favors for. I ensured that their kids had Christmas. I ensured that they had a job, a good job. I ensured that they had the things that they needed. I got them into programming. I got them contracts to build websites for international rock stars to build their portfolio. I mean, I've done, a lot for these people. And so I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, right? I'm going, are you kidding me right now?
Right.
But the funny thing is when they got on the stand, they couldn't say anything bad about me. They called me noble. They said I was one of the best leaders that they had ever been around. They said that, there's nothing I wouldn't do for veterans, which is true. And then there was a chief experience officer for the Department of Veteran Affairs who talked about a scenario in which they had this big event that come down from Washington, D.C.
Uh-huh.
It was called a VAC event. And they did a really poor job at marketing it and getting it out there for veterans to come. And so I showed up. We had a booth set up there, and they're running up to me, right? I don't know half of them because they're at the DC office. They come up, they're like, is there anything you can do? And within 10 minutes, I had all the news stations in our city there talking to them, creating stories, creating awareness for what they were trying to do. And I just did that, man, because I care about veterans. I wanted them to get the things they need, but I also wanted to show that, hey, I'm on your team. I'm on Team VA. Like, I want you all to be successful. And just to know that it ended up biting me on the back end. But she talked about that. She said, Jeremy, and she also talked about, me doing it for therapeutic reasons. And so anyway, it wasn't typical, right? It wasn't a typical day in court where the witnesses are like, he's a terrible human. It wasn't like that at all.
Yeah.
And so, it just baffles me even more with the verdict.
Which unfortunately is, still lingering, I guess, in a way, but we'll have an update on as to what it is that that's happening after the, I don't want to say imprisonment. I don't know if it was in prison, but incarceration. We'll talk. We'll have an update on things like that. So, what is the biggest takeaway that you've learned about this whole thing?
Well, number one, biggest takeaway, no matter what's going on in our lives, is to focus on the King, right? To focus on God. Let Him be your guide. Lay it all down. Submit. Give your life to Him, right? Number one, first and foremost. Number two, never undervalue your family, because when everyone else, like you said, when everyone else is turning their back, when everyone else is deciding, oh, well, it doesn't look good right now to be Jeremy's friend, your family's there, right? Never undervalue family. They're your first ministry. They're your primary ministry. Always keep them, priority number one. And then never allow naysayers to interrupt what God has ordained you to do.
Uh-huh.
Advocate when it's uncomfortable. Stand up when everybody's sitting down. Do something, even if there's a cost associated with it. Always do the next right thing, regardless of what is around the corner. And that's something that I will never not do. And it has cost me even before this event, but definitely at a higher level for this one. But again, yeah. I get to walk outside every day, and I get to wake up every day and knowing that I don't regret any of it, and that I felt like I did the right thing. I did what God would want me to do, and I'm going to continue to do that. I've already got started, man. I haven't been out a month yet, and I've already, been getting in touch and helping vets and doing what I can, and I'll continue to do that. I will always do that in one capacity or another. But now I have this extra path of advocacy for those who are justice involved. Mm-hmm. Because not everybody in prison is a bad person, right? They made simple mistakes that can be made by any of us out here at any moment. For example, I use this one a lot. If you call your friend and say, hey, man, can you stop by my house and get my mail and open up this letter and tell me what it says? Technically, that's a felony offense. It doesn't take a whole lot to go to federal prison. And this is the bad news, Caesar, is if they want you, they can get you. And right. I learned that through this process. So
that's got to be the worst. Erin, for you, what was the biggest takeaway that you've learned during this time, this whole ordeal?
I echo Jeremy. Our faith has been what has gotten us through this. My heart breaks for anyone who doesn't have a relationship with Christ and doesn't have that hope, because that has given us hope in very dark times. It looks like we lost Caesar. I don't know if we're still alive or not.
We'll just wait.
If anybody's out there, he's coming back.
Oh, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Like, I'm
Oh, you changed rooms.
And then all of a sudden, here we are. Oh, hey, this is what happens when you're doing live television and a live show, and you're on a brand new platform, and I don't know why that like the background is like now I feel like I'm like a cloudy day.
Way to make an entrance. I'm like, listen, he has to exit. He has to come back with a whole new, room behind him.
Not to get rid of it. I'm trying to find it. It's all good. Sorry about that.
No worries. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that I can do so much more than I thought I could. Uh-huh. I'm stronger than I thought I was. Technical difficulties. I would encourage anybody that's going through a hard time, don't underestimate your voice. Uh-huh. Don't lay down, don't give up. Keep fighting for what you know is right. And if you're in a situation like us, they're depending on folks to be worn down, beat down, exhausted, and to surrender. And that is not what we're doing.
Right. So let me take a moment and pause for a second, because first of all, I feel like an idiot. Like I'm running my own show right now, and it's and everything's going like I'm learning our whole platform. This is our first show, and as you know, like I'm my own producer right now, my own everything. So we're learning the show, or we're learning the setup. But I want to make a quick announcement on this. So the Battle Rhythm podcast has been broadcasting through Voice of the People USA Radio and TV Network, also through Busey Digital, and also to Patriot Radio out of Florida. And we're very, very thankful. And I have to give my shout outs to our special sponsors. So first and foremost, Texoma, Harley Davidson. They've been great sponsors for us, and our partnership that we have with them is just been awesome. We're trying to expand, and we're going to do a lot more of their promotions. So this past weekend they had a great show. It's called Busted Knuckles Tour. What they do is like a bunch of bike stunts and things like that, and it was super awesome for Father's Day gift or Father's Day show, type of thing. The other thing, there was another one of our sponsors there. The Black Sheep Lounge is one of my favorite places to go. Owned by very good friends of ours, Nick and Ashton Fagerson. They are the owners of the Black Sheep Lounge. What it is this the premium lounge where you go in there and you smoke, some cigars. You have some classic drinks like the old fashions. Oh, it's just super great atmosphere to go in there and just kind of relax after a long day, and being able to just kind of like I guess I'm rubbing it in. I'm sorry, Jeremy, that I'm saying all these places and you're not able to go anywhere just yet. So my bad. But like I said, I have to.
Well, there's always DoorDash.
Yeah, I don't think the Black Sheep Lounge has a DoorDash, but I do know a guy that might be able to ship you some really good cigars. So
Yeah.
I also want to thank our other sponsors, American Legion Writers 231, ALR 231. My brothers from that post, they are my sponsors for my website that is currently under development. They are sponsoring the website for the Battle Rhythm podcast. So thank you, ALR 231, for your continued support. I also want to give a shout out to EGA Construction and Scott's Construction. Thank you guys very much for your continued support. And let's not forget Split Window Studios down in Denison on Maine, when I do have live guests, but that's where we go and do our spots. And also Podcast on Maine, they are one of our greatest supporters. So thank you guys, Bubba and Chris. Thank you guys so much for your support and everything. So we'll get everything straightened out, and we'll be back at the in the studio next week, because I do have a live guest next week. So that's be pretty awesome. But yes, that's our 15 seconds of shame, or of fame, I mean, and to thank all of our sponsors for being able and partners with the Battle Rhythm podcast. So I normally have commercials to play through that, and unfortunately, like I said, having our brand new platform and learning all this stuff, I learned that the videos cannot be more than 40 megabytes long or in size. Therefore, all of the other ones that I had, the commercials that I've made, I cannot upload because they're only 40 megabytes, and these are like almost like a bit less than a gig, but I think it was like 800 megabytes, and you only have 40, which is like, that's nothing. So yeah, so I have to do it the old school way when I'm reading out, out of my teleprompter, and like, thank you to our sponsors for this segment. So
you
yeah,
did fantastic, Caesar. You did
great. You know what? Thank you. That's a nice way of saying, bless your heart. I got it. Thank you.
Well, we are from Kentucky.
Yeah, that's right. Well, at least you have a bunch of distilleries. I did go to Louisville, Kentucky last year. I was telling Erin that I went down there last year for the VFW National Convention, and we walked around all of downtown, and we ended up going to the Louisville Slugger place. I don't know what to call it, the factory. Museum? Yeah, I know the factory and the museum, and then we ended up getting a bat and things like that. But my favorite part was like literally every other door was a distillery or a place to go drink some bourbon. And I was like, man, they have some pretty good bourbons out there. I'm like, maybe I'm just gonna have one of you guys to send me some over to I'll give you my address later so you can send it over for payment. So we'll do that. But yeah, so thank you very much. And the Battle Rhythm podcast is gonna be, and I'm announcing it now because I'm pretty sure you guys are already okay with this. The Battle Rhythm podcast will be joining forces with Veterans Club, doing a lot of their promos and a lot of the things that they do, because our show is not only national but it's also international, or I should say our network is. And with that, our show is actually getting out there. We are being heard in 193 countries, I believe, now, and we are averaging about 750,000 listeners on our radio, on both BUC Digital and also on Patriot Radio and on Voice of the People, of course. So that's what we're averaging now, and we're going to continue to grow with those. And the Battle Rhythm podcast does formally state that they are in partnership with the Veterans Club, because if I feel, and I've always said this, I feel that it's important to be a part of something. And if you need to get involved, be involved in something, and don't just be a voice that says, well, it should have been done this way. If you want it to be done this way, then change it. Get involved. That's how you change things. That's how you get involved and you start making it. And I'm telling you what, like, if the easiest way to get involved is in your community. If you're gonna run for something, run for office and run because of the beliefs that you have and being able to put our community, the veteran community, in not in harm's way, but on the spotlight, right? Because I feel that sometimes the veteran community is very represented in the local communities, and so there's not a lot of voices, right? Obviously, they know people. There's the VFWs over there, or the American Legions over there, but
we're like the new model. Caesar,
yeah.
of the big six. We're like the new model of the VFW, the American Legion. But we're excited to get started, get on the show and get some more people connected. And you're right. Make sure that the veteran community is represented well. And so we're looking forward to that.
So look for the Veterans Club to be involved with the Battle Rhythm podcast and also with Voice of the People, radio and TV network. So it's in the mix. It's in the mix. So all right. Well, now that we have that shameless plug, let's continue on with our interview of the week, because it's important. And let's just recap, because we've already been on the air for about an hour and 15 minutes. And a lot of people may just kind of joining us now and saying, what the hell are they talking about? Well, let's talk about this. Jeremy was incarcerated for about 2 months. He gave himself up on January 31st, I believe. 30th, 31st.
6 months.
He had a 6-month sentence.
6 months sentence. But he was released on, don't tell me. He was supposed to be released on May 28th, but it was not. He was released on June 3rd or something, 4th.
Yes, June 3rd. Yes, sir. You got it.
I wrote it down somewhere. I don't remember. June 3rd somewhere. And then the reason why was because it was he was not released in time, or not released when he was supposed to be released, is because the halfway house that he was released into was gaining profits from this from his him being there. So he was released from prison, then he ended up going to the halfway house, was not able to come home yet, and then June 3rd was when he finally was able to come home. And I've known it since then. Erin actually called me on the way back. She's like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited!" I was like, "Whoa, slow down. How much have you had drink, and how much have you slept?" She said, "None." She said, "None. Either or. I didn't drink and I did not sleep," which is a true story. And she said, and then all of a sudden she turns over the phone and she's like, "Look who it is." I was like, "What the French toast?" I was like, "You didn't tell me." Well, I'm telling you now. I was like, "Okay, that's cool." And from then on, we were like, "Well, we're gonna get you on and everything." So
well, it's important for the listeners to know too that I was never supposed to go to a halfway house. I was supposed to go directly to home confinement. They pulled the okie doke on me on May 20th, sent me to the halfway house, and then on May 25th was my home confinement eligibility date, in which they weren't prepared for that. Continued to keep me until finally Erin linked the post, tagged Savannah Crisley, who got involved, along with the director of the BOP, William Marshall, and said, "Nope, not on my watch. It's not going to happen." Come and got me. I left the 3rd and been home. I was home on home confinement through the halfway house until the 11th. And then after the 11th, I now am under the custody of U.S. probation. And I actually see him tomorrow. So, but in between that time, I didn't have any issues. So we're looking forward to getting on the other side of this and putting this to rest and getting on with the rest of our lives.
That's exactly what we need to do. And obviously you're going to be a big advocate now. I'm assuming that you're going to be able, like you said, change your mindset as to, or maybe your mission as to what you're supposed to be doing now, because obviously this brought on a whole new set of feelings that you've obviously never had. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be one of those things. So I had a joke one time. So my ex-wife used to be a probation officer. Some people said, "How'd you guys meet?" I was like, "She was my PO." so I just went earlier. I was gonna say that joke earlier, was like when Erin said, "Oh yeah, Jeremy and I used to work together." I was like, "Oh, so he was your, you were his therapist, and he was your patient, huh?" That type of thing.
We have this agreement that although she's really good at what she does, she does not therapize me that I'm her husband. She's my wife. We don't cross those boundaries.
Little did you know, sir, that she's been working on reverse psychology on you for the last 7 years.
Hey, I've been a great case study. I'm the reason why she graduated high honors from social work school, because she's been living with me and married to me for a long time now. So I was a good case study. I feel like I played a significant role in her success. Let's just put it that way.
So now you're the trophy husband. I got you.
There you go. I didn't say it, you did, but hey, let's call it what it is, right?
Well, I'll get you. You know what? Hold on a minute. I got a trophy for you. There you go. I'm sending this to you. That this is the. It's got a plaque somewhere in here. So this is for trophy husbands.
There we go. We all need one. Absolutely.
That was my my trophy for winning the being part of the team that won the tournament a couple weeks ago for a place to go to World Championships in Vegas for 8-ball APA. My team ended up being one of the two that won, and I was like, "Yay! I did my part. What did you do? I didn't do shit." That type of thing. So, anyways, all right. So let's continue on with our interview. All right. So, again, it's not hard to come up with questions, right? Because obviously everybody has a lot of different questions. I wish people would be dialing in and actually sitting in pick questions, but I keep forgetting to check those, and I don't see any at all right now. But that's not neither here nor there. What we are worried about is the fact that now that you've been released, obviously you're still in home confinement. Are you able to talk about how long you're going to be in home confinement for?
Yeah. So my hope is very short for different reasons, but it looks like about 6 months on home confinement.
Okay, and then you're already in almost month 1, so that's good. All right.
It's better to be home though. Either way you look at it, it's better to be home. I can be the asset I'm supposed to be here at home with my wife and my kids, and even though I missed a couple graduations, I missed my daughter's graduation from college. She graduated from UK and degree in psychology. She wants to be a psychologist. So a house full of therapists. And then my other daughter graduated high school. I missed her graduation, unfortunately, but she has a graduation party this weekend, which we're looking forward to. And both of my daughters are going to wear their cap and gown and take pictures with me to recreate the event. So I'm looking forward to that. There's always, listen, where there's a will, Caesar is always a way, right? Yeah. You remember, adapt and overcome. That's exactly what we're doing. Adapt and overcome. Yeah.
It is. You're right. It's funny. It's one of those things, man. It just life happens, unfortunately, and sometimes life does throw you those curveballs, and those curveballs is what makes us either strong or weak, and that's either breaks us or makes us. So it's just how you're able to handle it, right? So obviously, for you having a good support system, actually, definitely, I'm sure that has been able to you have been able to overcome a lot easier. And obviously harder at the same time, because being away, it's like being on deployment. Like when I was on deployment in 13, 14 and OEF, my son was born. He was born in March, and I was still deployed, and I didn't come home till like May, and yeah, so he was born. I saw him born on Skype, man. It was crazy. I was like, what just happened? And being away, like from family and friends, and during that time, at least, there I had plenty to do. And and I just can't imagine, or I can't comprehend like what kind of things you would would do inside of a while incarcerated, so I can't.
Well, I read over 25 books in the period of time I was there. So you read a lot. I walked a lot. I listened to music. Music kind of got me through it, right? And of course, it turned into I led Bible study 3 times a week, And also I preached our Sunday service. We didn't have a chaplain until the very end of my sentence. And so I kind of filled that role because I am a certified chaplain through the Billy Graham Foundation. And so I did that. And then I kind of connected with guys, helped them, gave them advice when they needed it, encouraged them when they needed it. Unofficially helped them understand how to start a nonprofit because a lot of them wanted to do it. They wouldn't let me officially teach that class because they felt like it was connected to my crime, right? And but I was like, you realize that these people want to create nonprofits to make sure troubled youth don't end up getting in the same predicament that they're in.
Right.
So we did it unofficially on our own time. But there ain't a whole lot going on. You know what's interesting to me, man, is and I've been saying this a lot because if you get on TikTok, especially, there's a lot of people either still in prison, which it's frowned upon to have TikTok in prison, right? But even those who have been to prison, they got all these people who follow and listen in on how prison life was, and I tell you, I don't see the draw. It was boring, it was oppressive, it was uncomfortable. There was nothing about it that I'd want to create a page to talk about. Let's just put it that way. But for some reason, the general public's very interested in what it looks like to live in a prison. And I can assure you that it's not as cool as it looks or as exciting as it may seem. It's very mundane. In fact, it was the definition of Groundhog Day. Get up, put your uniform on, go eat at this time, go back, do your thing, go eat at this time, go back, do your thing, go to count, go back. I mean, it's very, very much Groundhog Day. And the food, let's talk about that for a minute. The food was
MREs, huh?
Oh man, MRE would have been a treat. I would have much rather had MRE. This food is not even really designed for human consumption. You know, it'll say,
oh, what?
It'll say on the food, it'll say, for zoos or institutions.
Oh, geez.
I mean, it's really on the package. I didn't believe it till I saw it. And then they give you about, I'd say for a whole day, about a total. Now you got to think, we're grown men here, about 1,200 calories, right? So you don't get a lot of food. I've seen more food on an elementary school tray than I ever did in prison. And what that does is it forces you to have to, if you're privileged enough to be able to buy a commissary, which is the store, you can get things, and none of it's good for you. It's very high sodium, very, processed stuff. But you have to do it, otherwise you'll starve.
Yeah.
And so I hope they get that fixed. But it was the same thing every week. Wednesday was hamburger day, looked like a hockey puck. Thursdays was chicken day. Fridays was fish. Monday tacos. I mean, it was the same menu.
What, tacos on Monday, not Tuesday? Oh,
yeah,
man.
They can't make it. They got to make it uncomfortable. But let's just look. It wasn't good tacos. Let's just say that. It wasn't good tacos.
So we're saying it was Taco Cabana or
Yeah.
There's a chain here in Texas called Taco Bueno. There's nothing bueno about that.
Yeah, that's what they need to call that then, Taco Bueno Day. But no, man, it was now there were some things about it, like getting to meet different people from different walks of life. And again, I've met doctors, lawyers, CEOs, executives that were in prison with me. It's a very diverse place, and of course, there's gang members and drug dealers and things like that. But it's really interesting to see how people react when you're all wearing the same uniform, living in the same place, sleeping on the same uncomfortable, very old mats on a metal bed frame, right. And everything that you own fits in a small locker.
Just like the Navy. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. It really humbles you. It really, what it does that I think is cool that isn't talked about a lot is that it creates a commonality amongst people who may have been a multimillionaire outside of prison, and then someone who maybe never had anything, but in there, none of us have anything. Right. So it really kind of creates that commonality where we can actually have good conversation about stuff that actually matters. Right. And I do remember that. And I did appreciate that. And so, I mean, it wasn't all bad in that way, but I could have done what I did in there out here. And so I'm glad to be out here doing it. But you know, that experience, as bad as it was, and as much as I never want to have that experience again, there was a reason that God gave me that experience. There was a reason why He gave me that testimony. And I have one or two options. I can either be upset about it for the rest of my life, or I can say, hey, let me take that bad thing and turn it for good. And that's what I choose to do. And that's why we're going to expand our advocacy, not just for veterans and first responders, but also those who have been justice impacted. And believe it or not, there's a lot of incarcerated veterans across the country, and 57% of those veterans are incarcerated because they have untreated mental health issues related to their service. So
right. And I think that's one of the things that we need to really focus on, because I mean, that's, you know, mental health is a huge thing right now, and
absolutely,
we need to really focus on that.
Yeah, all the time, not just in June or whenever what is it? It's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month in June, I think.
Yeah, PTSD. It's PTSD Awareness Month.
Yeah. So, but that should be every month, in my opinion. You know, but I have a little bit of a biased opinion because I suffer with it. But
yeah,
you get it.
I do. I definitely do. So, Erin, let me ask you this. What is, obviously you guys have been almost reacclimated and going through the honeymoon stage right now. What is the biggest thing that you obviously you missed Jeremy in general, right? What is one of the biggest things that you missed, or that you miss now that you had while he was in? Is it the fact that you feel a lot closer to him now as he is physically, or do you feel like you were a bit closer when he was apart because you had that that connection between the two of you, because he was far, or he was, I mean, he was there. You feel a lot closer to him now, or a lot closer to him when he was in? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean,
when you're kind of apart, like
I don't.
we're apart sometimes. I don't know.
Well, I think what this whole experience has done, married couples, and I think we talked about this on the first show, and especially families that are military families with the spouse who navigates, PTSD or any other mental health challenge. I mean, number one, being married is hard. It's challenging. You have two people with two different perspectives. And again, if one is a military, service member, veteran, they are going to have a unique perspective compared to a civilian spouse. And so, up until this point, I mean, we had the, kind of typical, marriage conflict, or maybe misunderstandings. Again, he said, he's the whole reason I became a therapist. And it really is because I wanted to understand what he was going through. But what this whole experience did was it aligned us in a way that we fought together, not, at each other. Right. And so with him, being back home, well, number one, I do sleep a lot better. I think there's like scientific evidence that when you're next to your person, it makes you sleepy. So if I'm yawning, I'm sorry. It's just because I'm glad that he's home.
I'm a cuddly bear, Caesar. I'm a cuddly bear.
It is good in that way, that I know that he's laying next to me at night and is home. Not only that I know he's safe, but also as a protector. He does a really good job at that, and I really value that in my husband. And so also I've just gained a whole new admiration for him and his integrity through this whole thing. They offer you a deal. They try to make it'll you'll get less of a sentence, or it'll be less, punishment if you just take this deal. And that's how a lot of people end up in prison, even when they don't do anything wrong and they get caught in the crosshairs, of the federal government. They will take a plea deal because, they threaten you with a worse punishment if you take it to trial. Yeah. But he never took a plea. He was never going to say that he did something that he didn't do. He went to trial. He was subjected to persecution. He went to prison. He's done all of this with such a sense of, I mean, as he said, one of the witnesses said it, he's very noble, and he really is. And so I've developed a whole new just admiration for everything that he's been through, and compassion for that. And I'm inspired by the fact that this didn't break him from wanting to continue to serve his country in the way that he can. When he was 18, he signed that dotted line, right? He signed that blank check to serve the country. And when he was, out of the military, that heart for service had not gone away. And now that he's out of prison, that heart for service has still not gone away. And if one of their, motives was to stop him, to defeat him, again, that hasn't occurred. And so I think it's very admirable. And I really just look at him with a lot of awe.
Yeah, the awe or disgust, or one of the two, because you're like, oh, you left the toilet seat up, and then those arguments are back. I'm pretty sure. No, I'm just kidding. I always call my wife the plumber, because she's always bringing up old stuff.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you that this, honestly, that's kind of a good point, in the sense that this kind of situation, whenever you go through a traumatic experience together, and it's been traumatic for us, our family and our close friends, it really does make you look, you just, those little things don't really matter anymore. Those are not worth arguing over. They're just not. We just value things in such a different way. We weren't together when he was deployed, so I didn't have that experience personally. So this was definitely the greatest time we had apart. And that lack of communication, that's the thing too, is that, when you're away from your person, and you're, living your life, you still can call them or FaceTime them, and you have a better connection. Right. But, that was something that I saw when I would visit him, because I did get to go and visit him while he was there on the weekends. And you're in this big visiting area, and there's usually about, an average of 15 families or so that would come to visit. Not every inmate gets a visit. There was one guy there that had not had a visitor in 7 years. Wow. No connection. And so when he talks about like that oppression on his end, from a family standpoint, it's oppressive too. There was one family that I would see every time I was there, and they had 2 little boys, and the little boys knew exactly what door dad was going to come through. And they would get so excited, and, they had the little light up shoes, and they would run over, and they would just wait at that door for the guards to call their dad's name and for their dad to walk through. And, to think about that, that's all they're getting of their dad right now. It's just this visiting room where they can only hug the first time you see them at the visit and at the end of the visit. You can't touch, you can't, you can't hug or sit next to each other. It's just really heartbreaking. Right. And that was something that really stood out to me, especially.
Right. So I need to ask you guys this, and don't hate me because I have to, but the arguments. Let's go back to that. Now that you mentioned it, Erin, that the arguments are different now, because they're not as you guys are looking at the whole experience in a different way, right? So obviously, every couple, every marriage bickers, and every marriage just goes through this thing. But do you feel like your guys' bond in your marriage is stronger after this ordeal?
I do. Yeah. I think, I don't fault any married couple for having their arguments and bickering, especially when you're raising kids and you're working and there's a lot of pressure and stresses, and you're just, again, keep the toilet seat up. Listen, ladies, I know what it's like to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and you sit right down in the bowl, not on the seat. It's enough to just send you over the edge. And so, but again, this experience has just made that fall away. Those are not things. Those little things are not something that are even worth the energy anymore. Because we know how valuable our time is together, because it was taken from us. He didn't violate any VA policy or break any law, and yet the government was still able to imprison him and separate us. And that changes a person. It really does. It changes a couple. And so, I don't know that every couple that gets back together is able to navigate that. I'm sure it depends on, the length of time that you're away and how you were able to communicate while your loved one was incarcerated. But, luckily Jeremy, had a 6-month sentence and not a 18-month or 3-year sentence. But definitely those little things are just, they just seem unimportant.
Right.
Well, and I just want to be clear, man. I'm not real guilty of leaving a toilet seat up. I just want to put that out for the audience and for the listeners. I just want to clarify. That's a good example. It just isn't applicable in our.
I have the picture, sir. You have no leg to stand on.
Blame it on the kid. We'll blame it.
Oh yeah. Blame it on the alcohol. No. I'm just kidding. But with that said, I am going to introduce to you guys a little something that I like to call. What do I like to call this? I like to call this a rapid fire question.
Rapid Fire Question is brought to you by EGA Construction Services out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It is veteran-owned and operated with over 25 years of experience.
Welcome back to the Battle Rhythm Podcast. You are listening to us on Voice of the People USA Radio and TV Network, BUC Digital, and Patriot Radio, and we're also on Roku TV, Fire TV, and I just so you guys know, over here on my left, I have the monitor that I actually been kind of like monitoring and seeing what's happening with it, and so like I just look over and like I see just my big forehead. I'm like, geez, I didn't realize it was that big. I guess I get my receding hairline now. That's the only thing that I'm losing now, I guess. Anyway, but yeah, so rapid fire questions. So Erin is already a pro at this. She's already played this once before. And for you, Jeremy, surprise. This is what we're gonna do. I
love surprises.
Yeah, I know, right? Surprise, you're here. So this is the whole premise of the whole thing is that my jacket just fell. The whole premise of this thing is to get your honest answers on these easy questions and or hard questions. So I'll give you an example of a rapid fire question, and is the whole premise is for you to answer it with the first thing that comes to mind. Okay, so that's it. And I'll give you an example. Let's just say your favorite song. Okay.
You want to answer that?
Yeah. That's the question.
My favorite song right now is Because Somebody Prayed by Crowder. It's a really cool song.
Okay. All right. So now it's supposed to answer like the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
And like, super quick. So all right, let's do this. Bucket list, right? So we're gonna ask you a question about your bucket list. What is the one place that you want to go right now?
Well, right now I just want to go to the store. No, I'm kidding. Just go.
Yeah. What do you need? I need some creamer.
Yeah. No.
10 years later, hey, I'm back.
Yeah, no, I'd like to go to Ireland and have a good cup of coffee on a rainy day and eat some fish and chips.
I thought fish and chips were in England.
Hey, they're everywhere. They're even in America.
They're even in Louisville.
They're even in Kentucky.
Yeah, you mentioned something about the beach. I was like, I didn't know Kentucky had beaches.
They do actually, but they're connected to lakes.
Mm.
There's just a little sandy spot called a beach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 1 square by 1 square meter by 1 square meter.
Freshwater
There you
beach.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like, hey, for your purchase of $39.99, you could be a sir or a lord, and all you got to do is purchase 1 meter
I
square.
don't think I haven't thought about buying that. Have you seen the ad for the pictures you can get, and you send your loved one, and then you can either have them be like a knight, or they're a king on a throne, or a fancy lady, whatever. Yeah, surely you've seen that. Is that only my algorithm that does that?
That's surely you jest.
Now yours is going to do it because it's probably heard me.
Yeah, exactly. Just wait for Google Voice to actually come up with this. What are you listening to? The Battle Rhythm Podcast. It's gonna be coming on. All right, Erin, I'm withholding these questions for you because you've already played this and Jeremy has not. So we're gonna do. All right. So what? Continuing on with our game. What is one place you would not want to go back to?
Iraq.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say prison.
Yeah, that's a close second.
Well, where in Iraq were you?
I was at a prison there too, so but not as an inmate.
Yeah. I was one to get him the waterboards. It's fine. Where in Iraq were you?
I was in Camp Bucca, Iraq, and we had a detachment in Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq.
Okay.
In Baghdad. Yeah.
Was this like right the invasion? Like
yes.
what? Okay.
2003, 2004. Yeah.
Okay. I was Afghanistan, so I was.
That's where I was supposed to go, but then they changed the order on us.
Oh well, isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Because we were never there at the same time in 2 different theaters.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Two wars all in one. They call it. Oh wait. Anyway, we're not gonna go there right now. All right. What is your favorite military movie?
I like We Were Soldiers Once and Young.
The Mel I was gonna say Mel Brooks. Mel Gibson movie.
Mel Gibson movie. Yeah. About Lieutenant Colonel Hal Moore in Vietnam.
I just noticed. I just saw this video the other day about something that they did. So it was very subtle, actually. Throughout the entire movie, he was a lieutenant colonel, right? A light colonel, right? Yeah. And he was there during and then he comes back, and he has a full bird on, but nobody said anything, nothing. So that the narrator was saying, well, he was probably promoted. Yeah, promoted in the field. Yeah, exactly. And then ended up retiring as a lieutenant general. I'm like, damn,
amazing.
Which I think he probably was a general. He got to a 4-star, but they can only retire as a lieutenant general if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I never made it that high, so I don't even know.
Shoot, I can even make it.
I just want to know if Braveheart would be considered
military.
Stand up.
Yeah.
Well, it's considered a. I think could be considered a military movie, but it's also considered a, I don't know, a romantic Hollywood-esque movie.
You know me.
Just saying. That's right, the hopeless romantic.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so let's go. What's your favorite chick movie?
Favorite chick movie? That's my dog. If you heard that, I don't know. I don't really watch them. I don't watch. You know what? To be honest, I don't watch a lot of TV. Actually.
Well, that's good because that's not TV. It's movies.
I don't know. I mean, I think I've watched The Notebook before back in the day. I know that's cliche, but
I have something to add that you may have forgotten. Do you know what I'm going to say?
I told you, the plumbers, man. I'm telling you, the plumbers.
No. During COVID.
Oh, okay.
During COVID, I got him to binge watch Downton Abbey. That count as like chick? It is episodes, but I'm just saying.
Well, since I'm the judge of this, I'll allow it. But it's not. I don't know. It's not really like a chick flick thing, though.
We should rename this not rapid fire, but open-ended questions.
Well, that's your segment. If you ever get a podcast, that could be your segment.
There we go.
Don't take my thunder.
That's that 180 question. Yeah.
That's SF86 actually. Anyway. All right. So now that we got your favorite TV show because I was Downtown Abbey or whatever. What is one thing that's on your bucket list that you wish you could do and you have not had the I don't want to say the guts, but you haven't had the chance to do just yet?
I would like to spend some time in the wilderness of Alaska.
I can make that happen.
Well, there's my chance.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen. No, there's a lot of groups out there that take veterans out for like outdoor stuff. I think one of them is actually like out to Alaska, but it's not like, I don't think it's like out in the bush. I think it's obviously it's with a guide, and a lot of it has to do obviously with things like that. So
yeah, a guide would be nice. They got grizzlies. They got a lot of things out there that can kill you. So I mean, don't get me wrong. A guide would be helpful. But
I think I would actually love to do. I think it would be like if I knew how to mush, I would do the red rod race. Just because I just think it's so awesome. I'm like, damn, like 1,200 miles of like all that. I'm like, I'd do that. I watched Snow Dogs one time. Okay.
You're practically a professional.
That's right. I stayed at a Motel 6 last night. I know how to do this. That type of thing. And no, we're not getting any royalties from Motel 6, unfortunately.
Start today. Yeah.
That's right.
We'll leave the light on for you. That's what they say.
Yeah, well, they turned them off because I guess there's a hotel. There's a hotel here in where I live. It was all over the news today that they actually closed it down, like completely closed it down, like shut it down because they weren't they were unwilling and or unable to bring the hotel back up to code. So like the fire sprinklers, a bunch of health stuff that was going on. They refused and or unwilling to cooperate and get these things up to date, up to code. And so they finally said, you know what? Forget it. We're out. And the city was like, no more. You guys have had your chance and you're not doing it. So adios. And they're like, okay. They're doing that.
Slow news day.
I'm telling you, it's been crazy. It's been crazy. So
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Was the hotel called FCI Ashland?
No, it was called Days Inn.
Okay.
It was the Days Inn.
Because I stayed at a place for 6 months called an extended stay. That was like so.
It was. Yeah, it was a. Yeah, that's funny. Extended stay. Yeah. That's good. That's good. All right, Erin, I'm coming back to you for the rapid fire questions. In the last 3 weeks, what is the one thing that you wish you didn't experience?
Ooh. Maybe reading some of them comments below a video on Savannah's Instagram. Some of those
People are haters. People are haters regardless.
Hateful. Yeah, avoid comments.
Unbelievable. Yeah, people are hateful and this, whatever it is. So this is a challenge for both of you. I am challenging you both to try to get Miss Chrisley on the show.
Yeah, that's significant.
Huh?
That's a significant challenge.
Nah, it's not. Don't give me significant. No, it's not. It's reachable. It's reachable.
Yeah.
Nothing's impossible. I mean, look, if it was impossible, you wouldn't be sitting here right now because you would probably still be inside.
Could be. Maybe. Yeah.
So I encourage you to send her this interview and tell her this guy's an idiot. He's just asking dumb questions that have no sense to anything. And the reason I do that is just because, we've talked about the entire ordeal, and it's a pretty hard pill to swallow, right? Because you start feeling especially as a listener and somebody that asking the questions and trying to just grasp what happened. Being that I too am a disabled veteran and I get VA benefits and stuff like that, but to be persecuted and singled out by your own government, being two-faced, basically, giving you uh, the public image that they were on your side, and next thing you know, behind the scenes, they're doing these investigations and these I don't want to call them raids, but these gathering of information in a sneaky way it's hard to think. Is It makes me think, like, shoot, am I being followed for something? Then I remember I'm not I don't have the temporary or unemployability, so I was like, oh, thank God, I'm good. Yeah,
Absolutely.
But
I highly
it's that
recommend you
fear.
never get it. Yeah.
It's that fear, right? You always fear for doing those things, right? Or having again. So, what's next for Veterans Club?
So Veterans Club, they're continuing with the mission. I mean, we still have all the programs. We're still very active. We're creating new partnerships. We're hosting new events. We're reaching the masses. Nothing's changed. The shows went on, and again, that's further proof that it wasn't just a Jeremy Harrell show, right? Because we have continued to operate, whereas I've been unable to be a part of it since the indictment. And so, they're continuing to do good work. I want people to continue to support them. There was no issue with the organization at all. We're compliant. We're on the up and up with all the major agencies and the state agencies. We're doing all the right things. So connect with us, support us, and be part of the solution out there for the veterans who feel like they have no one to turn to. Not everybody wants to go to the VA. I think that a lot of veterans know that, and for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. We're there for when they don't. And then of course there's veterans that do both. They go to the VA, they go to the VA for a certain thing, they come over to our organization for a certain thing. But we're going to continue doing the level of work we've always done, and advocacy for our nation's heroes. It doesn't stop. One thing's for sure, none of this has stopped any of that. So if they're doing a pass-fail system, they failed. It's going to continue to, and we're going to continue to get better, and we're going to grow and expand, and we're going to scale. I mean, there's just so much. I have so many different thoughts and plans and implementations that I'm thinking about, and we're just going to take this thing to another level.
And let me ask you this, and this is going to be a hard question, because of everything that went down on your personal side. Were there any ramification with like sponsors or partnerships for the Veterans Club because of everything that happened to you personally?
There were a couple folks, nobody real significant, but a couple folks that pulled back because of optics. But I can tell you, and whether they're honest or not, it's up for discussion. But they told me that it wasn't that they wanted to, but they had company policy to do it. And so, but really, we have just as many supporters and partnerships as we had before, minus a couple smaller collaborators that we did things with. I mean, even the VA still contacts, believe it or not, the organization to do things. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't what you would imagine. It wasn't a situation where everybody just backed away and was scared to death and then wanted to separate themselves. I mean, we have people still applying to be on our board of directors. We still have good relationships with banks. We're still getting donations. In fact, the day that I was released from prison, we got $153,000 donation from an aluminum company in Louisville, Kentucky. So that tells a story, right? The day I get released, they get that sizable donation, and that's a good amount of money for anybody to receive. And so we're going strong, man. We're continuing the mission.
That's exactly it. That's just awesome. So, all right, several final questions here. Erin, what's next for you? I mean, I know you've you've been busy the last 3 months with trying to get this gentleman out and not being able to, I don't want to say be you, but because you've been devoted in the fight. What's next for you?
Well, I'm with Jeremy. I want to expand advocacy to the justice impacted, from the families side of things. Additionally, I have not stopped fighting to get Jeremy a pardon. I continue to, write the president, write the DOJ pardon attorney Ed Martin, reach out to our senators, other congressmen. I think that he is beyond worthy of a pardon after all of this that he's been subjected to. I mean, really, it was the previous administration's DOJ that did this. And, I'm really grateful, really, for President Trump, who has created a cabinet that is showing change. Like you said, Director Marshall, he put that directive out that states these facilities need to send send inmates home on time and stop holding them up really just for financial gain. I mean, this current administration sees that, and they see that it is a waste of the BOP budget, waste of taxpayer dollars. And so just continuing that.
Yeah. And it's an administration of second chances, right? You look at Alice Marie Johnson, who is the pardon czar, who had a life sentence in prison and was pardoned. And then you have a deputy director for the Bureau of Prisons now, Josh Smith, who was incarcerated in federal prison, but pardoned by Donald Trump his first term, who now is the deputy, he's a second in command at the Bureau of Prisons. And I spoke to the director, William Marshall, the day I was released. He called me directly, and we had a conversation. And I will be testifying before Congress about some things that need to be done for the BOP and to make it better and to ensure that policy is fulfilled, and that the implementation and the consistency of the First Step Act and the Second Chance Act is followed through. Because I will attest that the director does not want what happened to me to happen to anyone. He's committed to that. The deputy director is committed to that. He's been traveling already to different prisons to get intel on what's going on and to do some accountability things. And so, I mean, I don't, it's historical. I don't think there's ever been a time where a director of the Bureau of Prisons has called an active inmate the day he gets released. And so if that doesn't tell you that they have a director up there who cares, I don't know what else anyone could ask for. I mean, you can imagine as many institutions as he has to manage and all the things he has to manage. And he called Jeremy Harrell, right? So just for those out there who are justice impacted, who have a loved one that's incarcerated, and you're wondering if they're going to get out on time, or you're wondering when their out date is, and you have all this, anxiety behind that, just know that you have a leadership team now in place, and they're newly appointed. I think it's the 7th week that the director has been in place. And then Josh Smith, maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks. I'm not sure exactly, but still fairly new, but they've hit the ground running, and they will ensure that your loved one goes home when they're supposed to go home.
All right. One last question for you guys. We're talking about the administration and what they've done. And what do you think the chances are that there is backing for these type of, to me, honestly, they're like, I feel like they're white collar crimes, right? And not from you, but from our lawmakers. What do you think the chances are that now we'll be able to try and get like more transparency from the VA, right? They need to talk to one another, left and right hand. The VA and the VBA, they need to be talking. What do you think the chances are with this is going to be? Do you feel like this is going to set precedents for something else?
I sure hope so. I sure hope that there's a hard lesson learned on the VBA side and the VHA side. I do know that the new VA Secretary, Doug Collins, again, Donald Trump, the president, appointed him for a reason. He's not only a congressman from Georgia, but he's an Iraq veteran. He was a chaplain in the military. And again, he's committed to ensuring that veterans get the benefits they deserve. And for the first time in a long time, I really believe that the VA is going to be moving in that direction. So yeah, I think right now is the best time to be a veteran in this country, because we know that the last several years it really wasn't a good time to be a veteran. And instead of him wanting to attack veterans, he absolutely wants to protect, and he wants to make sure that they're treated with respect and dignity. And he's committed to ensuring that his employees, each one of them at the VA, and there's a bunch of them, I don't know the number right offhand, but that they're committed to the same mission to take care of veterans. The VBA specifically, they shouldn't act like claim adjusters. They shouldn't act like I'm calling to get a new roof, right? They should act like people who go in are proud to work and to serve and to help veterans obtain the benefits that they rightfully deserve. They should go in with the ideal to award, not the idea to deny. And I think this VA secretary will ensure that they have that mentality going forward.
Well, let's hope that that's the case, because it seems like it seems like our VA system really just needs a full overhaul of how they conduct and how they treat. I'm not saying like mistreatment while you're at the facility, but like treat as far as getting us the right amount and or the right counseling. You know what I mean? Like we need to be really, really what's the word? Vetted into, where we need to go. You need to go to see this, and you have pain management over here, and you have mental health this way. It's just where they really have a one-stop shop for us to go through, right? And which they kind of do, but it also needs to be where we feel we can gain that trust back, because like stories like this makes us feel like I can't even trust my own government after honor the contract. I honored it. It's your turn to honor it. Right. So that's what they need to do. So all right. Well, with that said, we've come to the end of our show. I would like to thank Erin and Jeremy from the Veterans Club for being our guests tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Well, no, not a problem. I told you I told Erin. Well, I promised Erin that when you would be out, that you were going to be on the show within weeks. Within weeks, and I kept my promise. So with that, I expect you guys to honor my contract. And we're going to be definitely, the Battle Rhythm podcast will be an ambassador for the Veterans Club of Kentucky, and hopefully we can start a second. What do you call it? Are they called? Would this be called a franchise? If we started a Veterans Club in Texas?
I think that's something we can talk about offline, man. What about you?
Hey, there's no better way to talk to with 750,000 of our closest friends. Okay. But for now, we will leave you with this. Be sure to tune in to Voice of the People USA Radio and TV Network, where we're right now, like I said, we are launching our brand new platform, which we're on right now, where we are able to be in 190 countries and will be listened to by hundreds of thousands of people. And coming soon, our entire network is going to change completely. We're going to have our music channel will be up here soon. We're going to have our education channel. We're also going to have our political veteran support, activism channel, all in line. It's going to be 24/7 video on demand. It is a big deal for us. We are super excited at the fact that we're able to bring those in. And if you are interested in becoming part of Voice of the People USA Radio and TV Network, send us an email to contact us at vopusaradio.com. And make sure you ask for Caesar. No, I'm just kidding. Make sure you write in them that you want more information, and when you do want more information, we'll send you that information. If you would like to get more involved in our network, we're definitely always looking for good contacts, for good content, I should say, for our network. And if you want to be part of great, I don't want to say a revolution, but a part of being a part of the new media, because this is what we are. Well, we are not censoring anybody. We're allowing everybody to be themselves. You could be a conservative, you could be a liberal, you could be whatever. We're not going to be one of those networks that completely censors everything you say, because that's not the way that it's supposed to be. Everybody has their opinion on a lot of things, and we pride ourselves in being able to bring that, because for many years, the mainstream media has been silencing, the investigative reporters, or the reporters that actually want to bring the truth and do that. And that's what we here at Voice of the People USA Radio and TV Network are trying to fight and establish a well documented, a well respected journalistic point of view, where everybody has their point of view and everybody's valued. So that's what we're. That is our hope and our mission, and we hope that many people get to experience it with us, because it's yeah. You gotta go. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah. Hey, thanks for being here. We will see you guys next week. Thank you guys for joining us, and Jeremy, Erin, we'll talk to you soon. I'll give you guys a call tomorrow. So I appreciate you guys for being here.
Yeah, man. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
Not a problem.
All right. Have a good
Take
night.
care, guys. All right. All right. So they had to go. We are here still. I want to touch a little bit on. I'm always talking about in regards to the Voice of the People and Radio and TV Network. If you guys are interested, please give us a call. Send us an email. Contact us at vopusaradio.com. That is where you can get information for our new platform. And like I said, this platform is going to be very exciting, because we're going to be having many of our channels that are going to be a true network of radio shows and also of TV shows and networks and stuff. So we're definitely growing, and we're definitely looking for great content. So again, that email is contact us at vopusaradio.com. And like always, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. And I once again I'd like to thank Erin and Jeremy for being able to come on the show and sharing a couple of hours with us and giving us an update on what they went through and how they are. So we are expecting to have them on later on in the year. So we'll see how they're doing with their struggle and their saga. So part 3 come soon for them. So with that, thank you guys so much for being here with us tonight on a Tuesday night. Next week we will be back in the studio, and we will have our very good friend Sarah McCrae from the city of Sherman, and we're going to be having a very candid conversation about Hot Summer Nights, meaning that that is the current show on its 31st season that it's been going on. So great acts. Last week was Pam Tillis. The week before, Everclear, the group, they were here in Sherman, Texas, little Sherman. They were here and they cleared some great shows. So it was awesome. So with that, thank you guys very much for being here. You guys are always welcome to watch our content on video on demand through our new platform. Go to vopusaradio.com or use VOP if you're using Roku TV or Fire Stick TV. Go to VOP, look for the channels and look for VOP USA Radio. That's where we're at. And like always, on all of our social medias, through the Battle Rhythm Podcast, same handle, so you can find us there as well. So we will see you guys next week. And like I said, like I always say every week, get involved. Don't be a voice that is just going to be chirping away at nothing. If you want change, make change and get yourself involved in a lot of these things. With that said, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Again, my name is Caesar with the Battle Rhythm Podcast. Once again, thank you to our sponsors, Texoma Harley, Davidson, EGA Construction, Scott's Construction, American Legion Riders 231. Thank you. Also, the Black Sheep Lounge, my buddy Nick and Ashlyn. Thank you so much for your continued support. And we will see you guys next week. Thank you for watching. As we wrap up today's show, we want to extend our heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in. Your support and engagement means the world to us, and we hope you found today's content insightful and entertaining. This episode, along with all previous shows, is available on all major media platforms. Whether you prefer to listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or watch YouTube, we got you covered. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review to help us reach more listeners just like you. We'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Connect with us on social media, where you can join us in our conversation and stay updated on the latest news and episodes. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you once again for being part of the Voice of the People, USA Radio, and TV network. We look forward to bringing you more exciting content in our upcoming episodes. Until next time.